Hello, my name is Kelly Blumenthal. I am the IAU's Office for Astronomy Office of, excuse me. I am the acting director of the IAU's Office for Astronomy Outreach. And welcome to this interview series celebrating LGBTQIA plus astronomers. So this week, in honor of the UN Free and Equal and GLAAD anti-bullying campaign called Spirit Day, we are highlighting some amazing stories of perseverance and activism from queer astronomers around the globe. So here with us today is Yao-Yuan Mao, a Taiwanese professor of physics and astronomy at the University of Utah in the United States. And in addition to their academic role, Yao also co-manages the Astronomy and Astrophysics Outlist, which she's going to share with us a little bit about today. So Yao, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kelly.
So my first question for you is just about the Outlist. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is? What are its goals? How did you decide to create the list? And maybe how did you decide to get involved?
Yeah, so the Astronomy and Astrophysics Outlist is basically a website that all the professional astronomer and astrophysicists can put their name on there if they are part of the LGBTQIA community and they feel comfortable of being publicly out. We also have an ally list for people who are identified as allies to be part of that list as well. Before I go into the goals, maybe I should first say that this list actually is more than 25 years old. It started as departmental outlets in around like 1998. I think that is the first outlets that people are aware of. The first outlets were a departmental list between Caltech in California, UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, and JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Probably there are some other departmental outlets at the time in the US that may not be as well known. But this departmental outlets started to grow, and more people, through the spread of words, noticed this list and wanted to join that. And then there was an email list then also formed that people can kind of communicate with each other. And then people start to organize events at the AAS meeting, the American Astronomical Society meetings, around 1992. And so then they start to have in-person events, although it's organized informally at those AAS meetings. So then the idea of Outlist webpage was born through just informal conversation that people say, well, maybe we should take these departmental outlets into just generic outlets that every astronomer can sign on. And so I think the original of outlets of the current form probably appeared around 1998. And Omar Blas, currently a professor at UC Santa Barbara, is one of the first organizers of that outlist. So the idea of outlist is really to increase the visibility of LGBTQI astronomer and astrophysicists within our community. And it's important to kind of think about the historical context at the time, right? It's not really easy to see role models who are LGBTQIA and also astronomer. And so, I think the original goal of this outlet is really just for people to know who they may be able to talk to and like connecting with the community, just like informally, because in that sense, that's easy to be like talking in the public. I would say, the function of outlets has evolved with time. We are at a very different era. And then we can talk about a little bit more about that later. But as for how I get involved, really it's just that the original website actually was like really it's the 90s typical website with like rainbow ribbons, shining lights, and they just want a more modern look and functionality of it. And so they were asking if anyone is willing to help to revamp the website. And so I happened to be someone who love build websites. So I like say, well, I can help. So I become part of the maintainer through revamping the website and making more modern. If we go to the Astronomy and Astrophysics Outlist right now, there is actually a history button, and if you click on that, you will actually see a recreation of the original style of the outlist, because some people love the 90s website style.
There is nothing quite like a website from the 90s, it's true.
Indeed.
Well, that's really great. So what impact do you think the Outlist has had on the community? And have you ever really tried to measure that directly?
Right. So as I was just saying, I think the function of the outlets has evolved with time. In the early times, mostly it was just a means for people to connect with the LGBTQIA communities, either locally or within the astronomy community. I think as the time evolves, nowadays I mean, as far as I know, the outlets has a few significant impact. So one of those being, I know that many students, including undergrad students, grad students, and even postdocs, when they are applying for jobs, they will sometimes check the outlist and just use that as a way to kind of have some informal understanding of the climate at different institutions. I know that people use the outlets to connect with the local community, because even there are LGBTQ people at the same institution, sometimes people are not public out. Like people might be, there's a wide range of level of being out, right? And so there can be definitely people who are comfortable being out to a small group of people, but not like to the whole institution. And so people have been using the outlets to connect with local communities. I also know that people sometimes want to interview LGBTQ astronomers, specifically use the outlets to find potential speakers and interviewees for their program, educational programs, public events, etc. So, I think the outlets has evolved from, just for people to really just to even know that LGBTQ astronomer exists, to people actually have the practical needs and use the outlets as a way to to help them to connect with specific people, etc. In terms of how to measure the impact, that is difficult to measure. It's a very loosely connected community, in the sense that people put their name on the outlist. Nowadays we actually send out annual updates for people to like update the information, because in academia people move a lot, and sometimes people's information got outdated. But there's not much that is done beyond that, so it's difficult to kind of measure the impact. That being said, the Astro Outlets has been grown quite significantly since we revamped the website. So in 2018, there is about I think a little bit over 100 people on the outlist. Now we have more than 500 people. So I would say, in terms of just people noticing this list, and then spreading out the word, and then more people signing up, that is definitely a significant impact. And I also know like people who now share the outlist within their departments. So like sometimes we've got a large number of submission from a single institution, and usually when that happens, I know that someone must have like sent a department email to the institution saying, hey, there's this Astro Outlist, some of you might want to join it. And so to me, that is also kind of a change of the climate. Like I don't think that has I don't think that really happened like in the 90s, right? And so the fact that people, including like people who are in the leadership position, like department chairs, and I know there are institution directors, they will on behalf or in their like official rules sending out this to their departments or institutions, and that is a significant shift about the climate in our community, but also just that people viewing this as important resources for their community as well.
Yeah, that's a really That's a really cool thing that it's grown so much in such a short period of time. And I would like to mention also that, for people who are unaware, the Outlist, you mentioned meetups at the AAS meeting, but this isn't just a US thing. It's actually global. So, you can go and find people from all different places around the world, and it's a really cool thing to see. Of course, people doing it wherever they feel safe to do it, but it's a really important step forward for the astronomy community. But actually, about that point, so do you have any concerns about the Outlist regarding safety, for example?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, before I go into that question, I just want to say, yeah, definitely the Outlist is international. I mean, it started, well, I would say the people who started the website was based in the US originally, but obviously we have, entries, around the globe. And like one interesting thing, someone told me is that, when people sign up the Outlist, they can put in the institution. Most people would not add the country name. They would say, University of Utah. They wouldn't say University of Utah, USA. And actually, I think it's people from Australia start to say, well, we should encourage people to actually put a country name on it, because then people can actually connect more easily, because people may not know which university is in which country. And so, I then actually added the prompt. And so now a lot of people actually put their country name in there. And so you can, like, if you search on the Outlist Australia, then you see, people from Australia and things like that. Now, obviously, you will depend on people updating their entry for that to be like more uniformly applied. But I just want to mention that because, as someone based, in a specific country, sometimes, we want to make sure this will serve the international community. And this kind of very small things actually make a big difference. Back to your question, definitely there has been, concerns about like safety and issues. And, one thing that people may not know about maintaining the outlets is like, why do we need someone to maintain it, right? Like, it's a list and people can sign up. You should be able to automate all that process. Why do we need a maintainer? And it's obviously for me, it's not until me becoming a maintainer to think to actually know there are actually things that we need to deal with. So, actually everyone submit entry, I do a minimum check about like that is a legit entry. We do have like trolls who just like submit entries who are not real persons, kind of like spamming the outlist. That definitely have happened. And then, we also want to keep people's information up to date as possible. So that's why we send out annual reminder for people to, update the information. So that is more just on the outlet side itself. But as for like personal safety, unfortunately, we do receive people having to take their name off the outlist because they don't feel safe to do it anymore after they put on their name on the outlist. And that sometimes have to do with their own personal situation, sometimes has to do things with their institution. And unfortunately, as a community service, we don't actually have ways to directly help them at the moment. Most of what we can do is like, I will, remove their entry as soon as I can. I actually make sure I'm able to actually remove any entry of our list on my phone, because like when I receive those requests, I actually do it like basically immediately. The other thing is that, we have the list of our list and also ALI list, but there is also no guarantee that people on those lists are LGBTQ friendly, right? Like there's no check. Like I do some minimum check so that I know that they're a real person. But there's nothing that like a guarantee that they are educated about these issues. And even for people who are part of the LGBT community, within the community, people with different identities have very different needs and need to be sometimes even just there are many letters in the LGBTQIA acronym, and sometimes people don't even not everyone is understanding different identities, spatial needs. And so because of that, it is, some of the concern is just like when people using the outlets to inform their decisions, or when they're wanting to reach out to someone, there is a certain level of risk, incurred risk, that they do need to vet the person they are getting in touch with, and cannot, solely rely on this person's stand on the outlets to be the safeguard procedure. And so we try to make that as clear as possible. When we are, when people sign out, they will see kind of like the things we lay out. But, I don't know how many people read those disclaimers really carefully. But it is definitely something that, I have to think about and making sure that, people understand what this outlet is meant for. And and then we try to do our best and help people dealing with any potential issues when they arise.
So I guess, as this is built over the years, over, you say, the last 25 years, you've seen a lot of evolution of, how you deal with the network, how you connect people, how you represent people, and the different needs that different people have. So how do you see this evolving into the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a difficult question. Outlist is a list. It itself really isn't a community, right? And the community depends on people on the outlets to reach out to, either their collaborators or, other people there at the local institutions to build that community. We definitely have been thinking about, over the years, how can we make the outlets more community? So like actually last year, we started a new charter mailing list. Like not everyone want to be spammed by chats. So we create a separate mailing list, and people can choose to opt in if they want to. And the idea is that people can, share resources, share news, or even just informal chats. So far, it's very, it's not really utilized at all. I think, the idea of sending out emails to a large number of people is still kind of awkward, and people may not like that. I know there are also LGBTQ astronomers, social media pages. I know there are Discord sites and things like that. At the end of the day, I think outlets serve a very specific goal. That is, it kind of serve as a central place, as kind of like a database for people to put their name on it. But we still rely on individuals to organize efforts, either within their local community or within their academic network or within their scientific collaborations. And so, on one hand, it would be nice if outlets could evolve to to help building those community. On the other hand, different things have different purposes. We are also pretty much, two people maintaining this list, and sometimes it is difficult to do more than what we have right now. Especially right now, I almost got a new entry almost every day, and so it is a pretty high rate of needing to checking things and updating the list, etc. That being said, we continue to make the outlets serving our community as much as I can. So I mentioned this, we have this prompt so that people will remember to add their country name. We also start to add, people can identify if they are non-binary or non-cisgender. We make it a very broad label instead of having very specific ones, because on one hand, we want people to be able to connect with people who share their specific identity, but also want to provide people's privacy. And this is a very public list, and we don't want to people doesn't need to come out with a very specific identity. And so we choose like a very broad term, like non-binary, non-cisgender as an umbrella term for anyone who identify with any of those. We also, prompt people to add their pronouns when they are signing up. So there are definitely changes. Like all those things were not there when the Outlist was originally started. So I think the Outlist itself will continue to evolve to reflect to what this community, like, even though the overall functionality may not change, the community will have, the need will evolve as time move on, right? Like having people's pronoun wasn't really a thing 25 years ago, but it is now very standard saying in our community that people will share their pronouns. And so I think the Outlist will definitely be ready to, reflect those changes and adapt with the community. But we do still rely on individuals to form a community and to connect with each other.
That's really wonderful. I actually do have a follow-up question to that. So I know that when you search for someone's name and they happen to be on the Outlist, if you search it on Google, the Outlist is one of the entries that comes up. Is there any way for someone who maybe doesn't want their name to be actively searchable on Google and be associated with the Outlist to still be a part of the network, but maybe be on kind of like the back end of it?
Yeah, that is also a great question. And so there's so many levels of it. The Outlist actually, so first of all, a few years ago, the Outlist content was actually not searchable. So search engine will not be able to index the content of the Outlist themselves. It will, you will find out if you Google astronomy Outlist, you'll see the website. But if you search someone's name, the Outlist wouldn't be one of the results. And so even at that time, I debate a lot about whether to let people know about this, because if I let people know, while some people may feel more secure that their name will not come out in the search results, it might create a false sense of security, in the sense that every single website is still, possible for people to, like someone with a slightly web development skills, even if not searchable, I can easily parse all the content on the Outlist, and I can put it on a different website and make it searchable. And so even at that time, we didn't specifically say that your name won't be searchable, because I'm afraid of that create a full sense of privacy. And what happened, I think it's about 2 years ago, I don't know the exact time, but they, the search engine somehow changed the algorithm, and now the content is now indexable. So this is only happened recently, that when you Google someone's name who's in the Outlist will actually pop up. And so I have not yet found the easy way to deal with this, because right now the option is either the whole web page is not searchable, or like I don't know whether there's technical way that I can make specific part of the page not searchable. But again, even if I do, it will not prevent from someone to copy the whole content of the list and put it somewhere and make it all searchable by search engine, right? Because it's text and everyone can copy it. So the technical answer to the question is that there might be a way, and it depending, the search engine also evolve with time, right? It's not always a fixed solution. In fact, the backend of Outlist has actually undergone a significant change just last few years, because Google changed how they change their API and things like that. So technology changes, and it's difficult to guarantee a specific thing as the technology changes, and we try our best to stay on top of it. But the other part is just about the, I need to be very careful to create a full sense of privacy and security. And that is also why we send out an annual reminder. Like every year, I send out a reminder reminding people that their name is on the Outlist. Well, besides updating their information, right? And it's very rare, but we do get people saying that they no longer want to be on our list and want their name to become, like I mentioned, some security or safety concerns. But there are just people who doesn't think they they want to put their name in the public anymore, even if there's no directly safety concerns. And so I think the best we can do is to making sure that people understand what it means to be on the outlist, and then understand the risk, and then consider for themselves whether this is something that they can do to put their name out there.
It's really great that you're considering all of these different things as you're creating and managing and producing new versions of this list. So that's it for my questions. I wonder if you have any final thoughts, or if maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself, not just about the Outlist.
Yeah, well, I can share a little bit about Outlist, which is also related to Outlist. So, one thing that people ask is, why do we have an A-line list? Because as many of us know, A-line is not something that we should self-identify. We should work to fight against all the discrimination, and do our best to be an ally, but we shouldn't call ourselves an ally, right? And so there is this question about why there's an ally list on the Astronomy and Astrophysics Outlist for people to self-identify as an ally. And so for myself, when I first signed up, I actually signed myself on an ally list, right? Because I wasn't really ready to be out at that time. And I also kind of want to be loosely connected to this community, even though, it's just adding my name to the list. And so what I did is put my name on the ally list. And after becoming a maintainer, and then, I received all the submission, I sort of realized there are actually so many people that are in my position. I have continued to receive requests moving. People say, could you move my name from the ally list to the out list from time to time? And so even though I also agree that we shouldn't self-identify as allies, I couldn't really remove the ally list for that reason. Even though I might be serving a specific population of people, but just like you say, there are safety concerns. There are people who want to be out but couldn't, and the ally list is there. It's a place not just for the allies, but also for people who, may feel like they may want to be connected to this community, but didn't really either not in the position or, couldn't due to their circumstances to be fully out. And so that's why the ally list still exists. And I hope, both the outlist and the ally list provide, for some people, joining the ally list and then moving themselves to the outlist is part of their journey of coming out. And I do hope, the outlist being serving other purposes that we discussed earlier. I also hope that, in some way it participate in some of us, coming out journey. And I hope that, it's a can be an important piece of their journey in this coming up process.
It's a really wonderful opportunity that you offer people to come out on their own terms and in their own way. Just as an aside, I in contrast to coming out, which in the United States, National Coming Out Day was either today or yesterday. But there's this other concept of inviting in. So inviting other people into your community and or joining parts of a community that accept you for who you are and what how you define yourself. And then I think that's been a constant theme throughout all of the people that I've talked to, is that they really focus heavily on the need to find community that accepts them as they are. And inviting people into their lives to really, live their life in as authentic a way as possible. So yeah, Yao, thank you so much for being with us today, for sitting with this interview. If you have anything else you'd like to add, please go ahead. But other than that, I think we will adjourn for today.
Yeah, thanks so much. No, I don't have much to add. I appreciate the opportunity for me to share about the Astro Outlist. And yeah, I wish the OAO will have a successful celebration about the LGBTQIA community in the coming weeks.
Thank you so much, Yao. It was great to talk to you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.